Now we've created and positioned the MR sky portals, and we can take a look at the results in a full rendering. So here it is without the sky portals. I'm going to go ahead and clone that rendered frame window. And I'll just use the same settings, just draft precision to finally gather, and exposure value of 8. Now my image control settings are still at the defaults, so I might want to play around with those too, but let's just see what we get with the sky portals added. Okay, so if we compare these two renderings, on the right, no sky portals, and on the left, we have two sky portals, one for the sliding glass door and one for the bathroom window. So you can see that the scene is considerably brighter once we've added those portals. And that means we might need to adjust the exposure value accordingly. I think generally this is maybe a little bit too dark, but our final gather is only set to draft. So let's try increasing that to, let's say, medium precision and do another rendering. So here's the result we've got with the final gather precision of medium. I think we can probably adjust this and make it better because it's a little bit blotchy. So that's one thing to consider. We've also got our exposure value. Maybe we want to brighten this up a little bit. And then there's yet another consideration, which is this graininess going on here. So we can deal with each one of these. First, I'm going to go to the render setup and indirect illumination, play around with these final gather values. I'm going to try 0.5, and number of rays we'll set to 100, and interpolation I'll set to, say, 150. Diffuse bounce is set to 1, and that's good. And you know what? I'll go into my exposure as well, and I'm going to set these to sort of more neutral values because I'm thinking that's a little bit too contrasty. And then having done that, I'll probably want to play around with exposure, maybe bring this down to 7 or so. All right, so I think we're good to go on the final gather and the exposure. Let's just do another quick checkup on this, and we'll do another rendering. All right, so far so good. I think our final gather is looking a lot better. We don't have that blotchiness here, especially because I've increased the interpolation. I should probably also reduce the exposure value because this is looking a bit dark. So let's try a value of 5. And then finally, the graininess here really needs to be dealt with. This is an issue that comes up with the sky portals. They're casting their own shadows here. So I want to go into the modify panel for the sky portals. So I'm going to select the first sky portal, which is the one that's outside the sliding glass door. And I want to play around with the shadow samples. The default here of 16 is never enough. You're usually going to need to put this up to 64 or perhaps even higher. And that is actually probably the #1 way to slow down your rendering, is to use these sky portal shadows with the high shadow samples. But you don't really have much choice because you've got to get rid of this graininess. However, you should be selective about it. Because, for example, I've got another portal over here for the bathroom window, but it's so far in the distance that we can't really see the effect of the shadows, so I might as well just turn them off. So I'm going to select that portal and actually just tick the shadows off completely on the other sky portal, because it's not really contributing much to the rendering. So we've got some new settings here. We've adjusted the exposure, and we've played around with the shadow samples, so we'll give this another go. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the look of this in terms of lighting. There are still some aliasing issues that I could help out by increasing the number of samples per pixel, or the image precision setting here. But overall, I think we've got pretty good results here. While you're testing, you might want to actually shut off the shadows for the sky portal completely and then turn them back on again for the final rendering. But this will get you started on your way towards getting excellent looking interior daylight renderings.